Welcome everyone to the KBIS 2025 Luxury Lounge. So glad you could all be here. My name is Kimberly and I am kicking us off for the Style File, defining your personal brand to attract luxury clientele. We all know that how we present ourselves to the world matters, especially in an aesthetically driven industry. Defining your personal style can be an important tool to differentiate yourself in the market. And I know we can all think of some designers we know and love who are perfect examples of this. We're very lucky to have two of the best with us today. Nina Magon, Principal and Chief Executive Officer of Nina Magon Studios, and Richard Anuszkiewicz, Senior Designer, Design Galleria, Kitchen and Bath Studio. Today, Nina and Richard will explore how a curated approach to fashion and personal branding help them establish their luxury niches in design. But that's not all. We've also invited color theory fashion expert Anoushka Dannin, who will offer actionable insights and free color analysis. So here's how it's going to work. Anoushka is going to start us out by analyzing both Richard and Nina's color palette. Are these stylish designers wearing the right colors for them? We're about to find out. And then, while Richard and Nina are talking about how they've used personal branding to elevate their businesses, we're going to pick a lucky person out of the audience to receive a free personal color analysis. So very excited. Let's bring out Anoushka and let's get started.
How is everyone doing today? Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah? So I have a disclaimer. I am sitting with one of my favorite designers right beside me. I am so proud to be sitting on a panel with this guy right here because not only is a friend, but if you haven't seen the Monogram booth, I'm doing a plug, I'm sorry. So if you haven't seen the Monogram booth, if you want to talk about color, go to his booth and be mesmerized. It is fabulous. So congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. I'm equally, I share the same sentiment. Nina is a dear friend and literally a global entity here. Her business is blowing up, and I'm so proud of you.
Aw, you guys are so cute. Okay, let's get started and see if Nina and Richard are wearing the right colors. Okay, my name's Anoushka Dannin. I'm a seasonal color analyst here in Las Vegas. And if you don't know what seasonal color analysis is, it's the science of studying or analyzing a person's undertone, intensity, and hue, and then determining the best color palette that corresponds with that in order to bring out their natural beauty and create a more harmonious image. So color, in my opinion, is definitely the simplest, yet most impactful tool that you can use for your style. And it's much like interior design when designers find the perfect color palette that transforms a space. Wearing your best colors can totally transform your style and just bring it all together. So we have 4 main seasons of color analysis. I'm gonna have Jason help me here. Yes, please. Yes. I'm just gonna, thank you. Okay, so we have 2 cool seasons, which are summer and winter. And then I have my 2 warm seasons, spring and autumn. I'm just gonna start draping. And then each one of these 4 seasons has 4 different versions, so we have 16 different choices. We're gonna start out with Nina. Nina has these deep brown eyes. She has dark brown hair, and she has a lot of contrast. And so I know she loves wearing black. She actually looks great in black. And this is a fun fact. 1 in 5 women's best color is black. I know. Listen, don't kill the messenger. That is just the truth. And so for Nina, I have 2 palettes in mind this is going to be too soft for her. She can wear color. So I'm going to use your arm. And I'm not going to choose this one. But I think Nina could either be a winter or an autumn. And so we're going to kind of see which one. But they're both a lot of color, right? Cool jewel tones. And then this is more deep and earthy. Okay, so Nina, I'm actually going to have you hold this little mirror so you can see. Okay, Jason, show. Okay, and maybe, yeah, maybe right there is perfect. Okay, let's see how this winter looks on her. This is the palette that has true black and true white in it. And so whenever I'm holding this palette up to someone, I'm always worried about, is it too overwhelming on them? That's where the harmony comes in. You don't want color to wear you. You want to show up the same way as color. That's the harmonious image. And it actually does not look overwhelming on her. It looks very harmonious. Now, let's try this palette, the autumn. So, okay, hold it right there. When I hold this up to Nina, see, I already have heads going like this now.
No? I said yes.
So this palette to me, it honestly feels like it's not enough color for her. When I do this, look at this. Her features pop. Look at her complexion, looks so healthy. And when I do this, okay, you guys, I want you to watch her lip coloring. I don't know if you can see it, but try to watch her lip coloring from here to here. Do you see here it kind of gets faded? Here it shows up more, right? It's healthier lip coloring. So, sorry, Nina. Nina's a true winter as her home season, but there's 4 versions of winter. So I have an idea of maybe a possibility. We're going to leave this
Plot
on you,
twist.
Nina. Don't move.
So Nina, are you aligned so far with this analysis?
I'm learning. I'm learning.
That's right. This is called the programming phase in design, where we're collecting all of the information, and then we will further evaluate.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a version of winter called the Deep Palette. This is a combination of winter and autumn. This is like the old world library palette. And so I just want to see if maybe this is a possibility for Nina. You ready for it? People are already saying no. Okay.
No?
Hold the mirror up. Yeah. So here. I actually feel like it gives a little warmth to her, and her features are still being complemented. There's still harmony. These colors are not overpowering her. When you're looking at her, you're noticing her in the colors at the same time. It doesn't feel like you're looking down, noticing the color. Nina's a deep winter, which means that these are her best colors in the deep palette, but she's also got these colors to fall back on. And this is, honestly, she's so tapped into this because she looks stunning in black. She really does. But she will also look stunning in an espresso brown. So that could be another option. And she can incorporate these colors not only in her clothing, but she can incorporate these colors into her makeup too, she's already incorporated these colors in her branding. So she's very on point.
Anoushka, when you are holding those options up in front of Nina and you said look at her lip color, what is it that you're looking at when you're determining whether a color palette, for example, is a good fit for someone?
So I want to make sure that their complexion is looking healthy. Normally I do this makeup free, okay? But even with makeup on, you can tell if someone's lip coloring is looking nice and pink and healthy, or if it's fading, if their brow coloring is fading, if their eyes fade. So we really want to make sure the colors you're wearing, your features are popping. They're not being faded, because that's not your truth. You will need to enhance your natural beauty.
I love that.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I didn't know I looked good in hot pink, but now I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Dubai bling. It's going to look amazing.
I'm telling you, all those jewel tones. Okay. So,
You feel ready, Richard? We're doing it.
okay, Richard. I feel like Richard has these beautiful green hazel eyes. They have these golden flecks in them. And Richard has dark brown hair. And I think he looks warm. I feel like he does have this warm undertone and medium contrast. And he loves wearing neutrals. So I have an idea. But I first want to just determine, we're going to use metals to determine an undertone, because Richard deserves medals. Okay. So we're going to use this to represent warm. Okay.
That is the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
And we're going to use this to represent cool. Okay.
That sounds pretty unanimous. I heard a bunch of warms.
I think
From the
warm
audience,
too.
yeah.
I feel like when we put up the cool, he kind of loses that healthy glow. And in the warm, it's like he just got back from vacation, right? It's
We love that
really
look.
healthy.
Yeah.
He's glowing, all the things. And so here, I feel like it's nice. It's fine. But I mean, this.
We don't want nice and fine.
Yeah. We deserve, like, I just got back from vacation, healthy glow.
Yes.
Looks
Is that
amazing.
news to you, warm?
I feel like I reside in a warm palette naturally.
All right. What's next here? What's
So I have two warm palettes I want to show you.
excellent?
We're going back to autumn.
Ooh.
Look at these colors on Richard. He's got actually this warm jacket on, so this could be good. Now, I don't see black in here, Richard. Side note. But that's okay, because there are ways to wear black even if it's not in your palette, and that should never ever hold you back from finding out your colors.
Never gonna hold me back.
Never gonna hold it
Never.
back.
No.
And then we've got spring. Spring is very clear and bright. Oh, I'm already seeing faces. He's hoping it's not spring.
I'm confident it's not spring.
Yeah, I am too. Okay, but watch this. Did you see how pale Richard got in spring?
Yes.
This is not his palette, you guys.
No.
We do not need to be looking like we need to go on vacation. We need to be looking like we're living a vacation, right? So Richard, I believe his home season is autumn, but I have a version of autumn that I want to try on him because he really loves neutrals. So this is my soft palette, or the muted palette. It is very neutral. It's a combination of autumn and summer. Okay, so we've got the warmth of autumn, but we've got that softness and smokiness of summer. Yes, so here I feel like he kind of takes on this smoky grayness. It's not as glowy as here. So Richard, you're a true autumn. These are your colors. And this is actually a perfect example of what
Congratulations.
Richard is doing right now. He loves wearing black, but he's pairing it with a warm blazer. And that is exactly what you should do and how you should wear the colors that are not on your palette. Pair them.
So are you saying that both of us are wearing the right colors?
I love it.
Yay.
Being authentic to ourselves.
Yeah.
I love
there
it.
you go. Enjoy.
Personal branding.
Amen.
That was really fun. Thank you so much.
Anoushka, thank
Anoushka.
you.
That was
Everyone,
so
a warm
good.
round of applause.
And thanks to both of you for being good sports. That was really cool. Honestly, I feel like we've probably all seen those videos online where we've watched other people have their color analysis done. It's never been so clear to me. I feel like a lot of times I miss the plot or I'm not seeing what other people are seeing, but being here and being able to see it in person was really, really different. When she was flipping those up and down off of you, it's like your face would either shine and light up or just kind of fade into the background a little bit. I'm really excited that I got the chance to see that. So the next step, I've got a lot of questions for you guys, and I know that everyone's here to hear more about your personal journey in terms of building your personal brand and things like that. But before we do that, I'm going to pull someone up from the audience, and I figured why not pull someone who has a totally different color palette to both of you.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Drum roll, please.
I see Shelby up in the front. We've got a blonde, blue-eyed beauty. Come on up and have your color season analyzed. I'll get you to sit over here off to the side so that Anoushka can take her time with you. And then I will sit down with Richard and we'll dive into their personal style journeys a little bit. I've been so excited to bring this topic to KBIS for a number of years, and I can't think of two more awesome people to ask these questions to. It's very exciting for me. I do have a list of questions, but I'm going to go off script just for a second because I have my own question first. Each of you, I've followed both of you, especially you, Nina, on social for a long, long time. I would love to just hear more about, because we all come from somewhere, and it's really easy to feel like you know people when you've been following them on social media, and when someone's style is so well defined, you don't get a sense of where that person came from or maybe what their first baby steps were when they were thinking about defining their own personal brand. So if each one of you could just kind of like take turns explaining what that part of the journey was like for you, I feel like that's a good place to start.
So I started interior design 12 years ago. And I really am one of those stories who's an economics and finance major from Southern Methodist University who always loved fashion and loved interior design. So when I was 22, I opened up a European lingerie store. And I wanted to compete against Victoria's Secrets. That was my entrepreneur brain. And I said, I'm going to compete against on Victoria's Secrets, and I'm going to create a beautiful lingerie store. At that time, Victoria's Secrets hadn't remodeled their stores. So I ran retail for 2 years. I absolutely hated retail. Opening up during mall hours was super difficult, so I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I went into my family business of real estate. Eventually, I ended up building my first house, and I designed it, but I didn't know what design was. I just picked materials for the house, the flooring, the countertops, things like that. And that eventually I found out there was a degree such as an interior design. So I went back to the Art Institute of Houston and I studied interior design. I ended up hiring my teachers who started working for me. Those architects became my employees, and we started a design business together. And I was young, I started pretty young, and then I was on a television show called American Dream Builders on NBC with Nate Berkus, long time ago. And then from there, that kind of started my career. But to answer your question, I designed a bathroom first. Then I decided, do I like traditional? Do I like modern? I was friends' bathrooms. Any job I could get. A kitchen design, can I change your countertop? Can I pick your bar stools? And that was very exciting for me because I didn't know anyone would pay me to pick a bar stool for them or a countertop. And then obviously those little things got me on a television show, which then got me Saks Fifth Avenue right after the television show from somebody who watched the TV show. And then from there, the brand started building because I was doing modern design when everybody in Texas was doing traditional design. So my authenticity was I love fashion. I want to do something forward-thinking So I'd rather do fashion-forward design, which was not Mediterranean design, it was modern design. And I just kind of followed my heart since then, and I never deviated to build a brand.
We love that. Thank you.
And her brand is not just growing and building, it is blowing up, and it is a global entity, and it's amazing to watch. I mean, it's truly inspirational. So for me, contrary to popular belief, I did not start in lingerie. But however, I have always, since I was young, had this intuition and desire to design. And art and materials and architecture always spoke to me as a child. Truly, I was the kid in 5th grade getting Architectural Digest as a subscription, and my parents thought it was like the most bizarre thing. In middle school, when my fellow students were getting the latest PlayStation console, I was getting the latest drafting software. Like, I had a passion for this, and ultimately that's led me into my career. I formerly studied interiors at Virginia Tech, and it was an NKBA accredited program, and that's how I got really active and involved within this greater world and community. And I will always remember that moment. It was 2008, KBIS Chicago. I was a design student. I even had to write a letter to get approval to attend because I was under 21, and you had to be like 21 and over. But I just really wanted to get out there and see more and experience. And I will forever remember that moment because it was a very aha moment for me in my journey in design. It instilled in me a lot of goals and aspirations, and I said, one day I hope that I can be a part of this in a greater way. And, it's continued to blossom ever since, and I feel very grateful.
That's so awesome. I feel like the next question that I have is taking a little bit of a step, like maybe chronologically, bringing it back to your own personal style and maybe your perspective on fashion and how you started stitching it together. Because I feel like, speaking for myself only, but defining that can be very situational. It can feel like a moving target sometimes. Was there a moment where you felt like you were getting closer or stepping into your fashion truth and that was having a business impact?
So I can remember ever since I was young, in my mind, I almost saw it as a puzzle. Like, I was definitely the kid that picked out my own clothes, had my own sense of style just in my natural intuition. Even things as I truly remember when I was in 2nd grade, I got an upgraded bedroom suite, and my parents took me to the mall to pick out my new bedding, and they take me to the kids section. Truly, I remember this so distinctively. And I didn't relate to any of those materials, like the colors and the patterns, and it was just like, this is not me. And I went to the adult area, of home and bedding, and I picked this comforter, and I remember my mom being like, really? Like, it was just a really classic, simple, and that's something, there's kind of those moments in time where only as I grew more in this space and design, I started to understand that I have a natural sense to materials, and it truly has an impression on me, and it affects my mood and my personality. And I started to learn that as I continued to grow into my career.
So for me, from a very young age, my aunt was a huge, she passed away, but she was a huge influence on my life. And so she's the one who taught me about brands. At the age of 9, I learned what Versace was. At that time, it was like Versace and Armani were the big brands. I mean, they still are today, but they were huge at that time. And I think Gianni Versace passed away a few years after that. He was, whatever happened. So, when she started teaching me, I would go to the Versace store, and she would show me, this is Versace, this is not Versace, this is different. And she ended up actually purchasing my first dress for me that was for sale which at that time was a lot of money. It was like $170 or something for a Versace sale dress. And I remember that because of the way that she told me who is Versace, why he's important, why it's a designer brand, because when I wore it, I would feel that I'm wearing something very nice, right? I felt that because she had brainwashed me so much, essentially, to tell me that these are brands and this is what you should wear, I felt confident when I would wear them. So then I started wearing these T-shirts with the Medusa head on them to school. And in high school, people would say, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "This is Versace." How do you not know what this is, right? And so I was, and plus my travel, I think that was really what truly influenced my style, because I saw so many different styles of clothing. I would go to India and see people wearing saris and kurta pajamas and all these Indian clothes, and it's so different, but you could still tell which ones were well made, what has the right beading on it, what looks expensive and what doesn't look expensive. And I think that for me was a big part of my personal branding, is I was able to have an eye, or train my eye to understand this is expensive or looks expensive and this does not. And so that influenced me throughout my career.
That's so awesome. I think that you hit on something really important when you said, when it comes down to how it's made and how it looks and how it feels, it doesn't have to necessarily cost a lot to be very high quality and bring that impact, right? Definitely. I think, and I'm also glad that you brought up some of those historical fashion houses, because that plays into my next question, which is, I think luxury, as I've been around and I've watched social media develop as a channel for communication, a lot of the luxury houses have had different perspectives on how they want to balance accessibility through social media and inaccessibility, which is that velvet rope sort of approach to luxury. So if each of you could kind of take a minute to expand on how that accessible versus inaccessible luxury branding sort of ethos has played into your personal brand and development, especially as it pertains to like marketing yourself on social media.
Well, I mean, when we started, there was no social media. I don't remember having Pinterest or Instagram or anything. It was actually when I was on the television show in 2013, I was filming, that people were saying, "Oh, you should start an Instagram so people can follow you." Otherwise, I really didn't know what it was. But I think that on social, you should show enough, but not everything. I think there should always be a veil that is hidden from the audience in terms of social media. If you're a designer, you don't want to show anybody all your tricks and tips. Otherwise, why would they come and hire you, right? You have to show them enough for them to be intrigued to want to come, whether that be a client or whether that be just followers who are interested in your brand. In a way that we do that is we show a lot of behind the scenes, but we also might show a fabric waving. I have a great social media team, so they come up with all these interesting ideas where it intrigues the person to want to know what's coming. Like, we just had a brand relaunch recently, probably a few months ago. And in the brand relaunch, we didn't tell anyone what was happening. Nobody knew it was a brand relaunch. They just knew that something is coming, and they're posting these pictures from around the world, but we have no idea what she's talking about. But what happened was our followers started increasing because the intrigue was there, that something is going on, but we don't know. So we're going to keep on following her until we find out.
It's interesting because the question, it made me immediately think of a quote that I love, that is, style is a way to say who you are without having to speak, right? So, as designers, we are in a fashion industry in this world of home. Whether you want to think of it as such or not, if you look at the true definition of fashion, it totally correlates to what we do every day in practicing design. And that thought process of style is a way to say who you are without having to speak. We have a responsibility as designers, right? When we're working with people very personally on their home to guide them in this decision process and making. So the way that we present ourselves and our style and can instill confidence in your client, can instill trust and those things that we desire and need in a relationship to be successful. So I think we all have to be collectively so mindful of the way that we present ourselves, and that means every day the intention of what I'm putting on to start my day, and it has an impact on who we are and ultimately our presentation to the world. And as designers, we have a responsibility of how we present, and that is a direct correlation to our business.
Right. Honestly, that's what we're talking about today, is how to do that so that you're attracting the right people to you, right? So I think the next maybe logical question from there is then, how do you handle, or have you ever handled a time where there was a misalignment with a potential project, and what advice do you have for the people who are here today on how to manage that if they're maybe still stepping into what they want that to look like?
Yes, that has happened a couple of times, and you can sign on a project with the client, but I think that as you go along in the business, you realize you have red flags and you know which clients you want to take and not take.
100%.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that, you have to repeat, what is the question again? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I think
How have you handled, or how would you recommend that our audience handle a misalignment along those
So
lines?
you have to be authentic to yourself. So if you're not authentic in what you believe in your style, don't design something just for the money, because it's going to backfire and you're going to lose money in the long run. I remember at the beginning, we attempted to do Mediterranean design, and I hated every step of it so much because I wasn't excited about it. It wasn't authentic to me. It didn't feel exciting. It didn't feel forward thinking. And so, I wasn't able to please the client the way I should have, which created a bad relationship with the client. And so therefore, I decided at that point then, I will never take on a project anymore if they are not aligned. So actually, in our introductory meetings that we have with our clients, we ask them questions. If one of their questions or answers is that, hey, we want this style, and that is not a style that my firm is familiar with doing, we recommend them to somebody else so that somebody else can really please them, because the relationship is going to be destroyed eventually anyways.
I also feel like, to this point, I lost my train of thought now too. I know.
It's a long day.
It sure is. Hold on. I was like, I have this great point.
Pop like a little bubble.
Hold on to the question.
What time
really
is it?
quick.
What time is it?
Question again.
Last time.
Oh my God. Yes.
No, okay. Honestly, because we're talking about
on.
attracting the right clientele and looking for
Yes.
alignment.
Okay.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
There we
It's
go.
come back, you
It's
guys. Give me your energy. So here, hey. When Nina was talking about authenticity, I would relate to that as energy, right? Like that would be my terminology of that. And I was like, I have this point. This is going to be great. And then here we are, right? I forgot my thought process. But I say that, I would refer to that as the energy. The energy you output is the energy you attract.
Yeah, but
right?
some people have very bad energy, or they might have good energy at the beginning, and then it turns to bad.
True, very true. But I think my sentiment to that is I do believe that, kind of in the power of what you output and your aspirations and your goals, what it boils down to is the energy of authenticity. If you're aligning with yourself, you will naturally get the right clients and the people in your journey. And remember that just because you lose one or maybe a job doesn't work out, those are learning lessons. It was meant to happen. That's the energy that you were intended to learn from. And what I so believe in life is when you don't learn that lesson the first time, it will hit you harder the next time, right? And I think there's a process that we all experience in our personal businesses. Small business is hard, right? At the end of the day, we're a small business comparatively to these conglomerates. And you learn every step of that way. And, there's an energy to that, and you have to be authentic through that process. And I think that transcends and that brings the right things into your life. And that doesn't mean that sometimes in those low points, that's when I've truly have grown or transcended into my greater self. So you have to reflect and realize in those moments of how you can grow in your business.
Thank you. I really like that. I do. I honestly do. And I think there's something that I want to kind of tie together what you've both offered the audience today, and that is that there are no easy answers when you're looking to define your personal style, right? It's not about going to the crystal shops and buying a Chanel or Dior handbag, because that's not going to automatically elevate your offering to your market. I think it's about, and what Richard and Nina have done is invested in themselves and developed that and had a sense of curiosity about who they are and how they want to shape up their offering to their clients. And so whether that means working with someone like Anoushka to find out what looks good on you, you're absolutely worth it, and it's worth exploring, because the more you know about yourself, the more you can offer. Am I right? Did I tie that together?
That's amazing.
Okay, good. I'm glad. But honestly, like hearing you each kind of tell your personal stories, what's really evident is that you've taken the time to ask yourself questions. And so if that's what everyone leaves here today feeling empowered to do, ask questions about, what do I look good in? What do I feel confident in? It should kind of flow naturally from that, like the energetic metaphor that you shared.
Totally. And I maybe this is going slightly rogue from your questions, but I would love to know, even like, Nina, from your point of view to that, as you have further honed your style. I mean, I've said this through this conversation, but I truly cannot express how Nina just evokes, and I say evoke, it's funny because there's a tie-in here, and I didn't even mean to do that, but she just actually published a book called Evoke. But in her nature, she evokes style and transcends that. And there's what I would refer to as the golden thread. Like her personal style, you see it through every touch point of her business, through her projects. And I would love to know, as your friend who has been, has watched this and, as it's continued to grow and evolve, do you feel like you have any rules or tips, if you will, of what you've learned through that process and how you've brought that to life?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for those very kind words. It means a lot coming from someone like you. I think what I've learned in design is there are no rules. Don't follow anybody. Don't do anything that anybody tells you to do. Don't follow anything. Do what your heart tells you, because that's what's going to make you very unique. That's what makes you you. And as designers, I mean, how many designers are out there? How many styles are out there? The only differential thing that can make you you is you. And so if you are authentic to yourself, and I say this again and again, people used to laugh at me because when I would design Mediterranean homes, they would be like, you're terrible. Really, I'm telling you the truth. Like, people used to say I'm terrible. And then when I did Saks Fifth Avenue and I showed them, I said, who's terrible now? And the thing is you have to keep on learning. I didn't know how to design a restaurant, and I got Saks Fifth Avenue, and there's a restaurant inside of Saks Fifth Avenue. I had no idea what I was doing. I ended up hiring people who are experts in kitchen design, I was learning along the way, trying to build myself so that, the only thing you can have as a designer is you have to believe in yourself and have self-confidence. Because if you have self-confidence, you can fight through anything and you can get there because you'll find a way of how to figure it out.
And have you ever felt like, in the sense of developing your style, has that given you confidence?
Yeah, throughout my career, I love black, so I'm glad I won this color contest. That was amazing. But I feel that the way you show yourself to the world is truly how you want to be perceived. And I know some people say it doesn't matter what other people think of you, but you're damn right it does matter, because that's what furthers you. It's those contacts that are going to help you build your career. So you should care about what people think about you, especially if you're trying to build a collaboration with them or a relationship with them for your future. You have to show up. And I think that's one of the main things. So yes, it has influenced me. What about you? Tell us about you.
So, in my nature, I always joke, I drive for style, not for comfort, right? Like, these boots per se, not the most comfortable thing at a trade show as we're walking through these halls, but I will die on that hill, and I will always choose style when push comes to shove, because it's authentic to me. So I would say, I totally align with the sentiment of there are no rules and rules are meant to be broken. But a few tips of things I've learned along the way. I think it's the healthy outlook on curation, right? And so for me, as I've thought about building my brand, we talk about how, there's a thoughtfulness to what we put on and how that evokes our personal style and preferences.
You can buy it on Amazon.
Yes. But I would say that, through that process, I've learned there's a way to curate a palette of your style. And that's something that's authentic to me. I live in a very tight palette that I'm also glad that we won the autumn because I live in a lot of neutrals and blacks and creams and tans, but keeping it true to me and my brand and that consistency. You have to be thinking about, as designers, we have a responsibility to take our clients on a process, right? And that process should be as linear as possible to hit those marks because we have this service. So, in that same sentiment, what you're putting on every day is allowing them to understand that and the messaging of who you are, the caliber of design. There's something about that. And when we talk about confidence and style, I kind of view clothing as my armor in moments because it's something that does give me energy and power and can make me feel really confident to walk in a room. Like when you get a new outfit and you're like, damn, like, yeah, like this is it.
Always, yeah.
So I think that's so important that, especially when we talk about attaining luxury clientele, dress the part, show up. I've always said we are designers. Show it as such. Be authentic to yourself. And to Nina's point, don't do it for anyone else. Do it for you and where you want to take your brand and where you want to go.
Words to live by. What an awesome sort of statement to help us wrap it up. There's a lot that you both were able to detail for everyone here today. And honestly, thank you so, so much. I know I learned a lot. Jason, do we have time for Q&A? All right.
Anybody have any questions?
It's a long day.
It has been, yeah, definitely. Maybe I have a question for Anoushka. If you have one more second while you're packing up, I have questions about what your experience was like with Shelby and what you learned while you were doing her color analysis.
Oh my gosh. So Shelby, when I first saw her, I really could tell what her season was. She has these really beautiful, cool blue eyes, and they have this like smokiness about them. So for me, I knew that softer colors suited her better. When we went through the process, we actually saw that she has a cool undertone and that the warm colors really kind of faded her features, took away that healthy coloring. And so Shelby is a true summer. And
I feel like I could have guessed that.
Yeah. So I want to just show you what that looks like. But her best metal would be a lighter silver, lighter metallic. And then her palette is cool, but soft, and it's smoky. So it has this gray undertone to it. And so gray is really her new black. She can wear a black waist down or pair it with the colors. But even her makeup is going to be very soft and cool. And hair coloring, we talked about hair coloring. That's going to be very cool as well. So we're going to just get some purple shampoo up in there.
That's awesome. Do you have any parting thoughts for designers who are curious about exploring their own color palettes, and maybe share people how they can find you if they're interested?
Yes. So I really think that this is something that you can translate. The things that you translate in your design, translate onto yourself. That will really be your own walking billboard. Your style is your personal brand. And so color is a very, very simple technique for you to use just to even get started in that space. It really, truly, color is so universal. It doesn't matter your gender, your age, your body shape, your budget. It doesn't matter. It really, when you use your colors for you, you will get that luxurious feel. And you can find me on Instagram, For Your Reputation, my website. If you want, I have cards for you guys if you want to get a hold of me. I do virtuals as well all the time. But if you're ever back in Vegas next year, I can do your colors for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anoushka. Thank you, Shelby. Great sport. And a special, special thank you to Nina and
So
Richard
also,
for
if you
joining
need
us.
to find Richard, find him at Richard A2Z.
On Instagram. And Nina, everyone follow Nina Magon Studio. You're going to see this girl take over the world, I'm telling you.
Here we go.
You can take it over with me.
Style warriors, all of you are
you.
style warriors. Hope you learned something here today.
Thank
Hope you
you,
have a
guys.
great show. Come by the Monogram exhibit, please, and check it out as well. Thank you.
Also, go to Free Power. We design Free Power. If you like wireless charging, please take a look. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.